That you are with Grapevine Marketing. Tell us a little bit about it, Marlena.
Sure. Grapevine Marketing allows businesses to come on board monthly, and we basically are lightweight, medium weight, or heavyweight, so we can ultimately be your employee without actually being on site, but we do monthly visits. So if you're getting traffic to your website, we're just trying to find ways to highly convert that traffic into customers. So we use all the new rules of PR and marketing, using great call to actions and really getting the clients and customers to convert. So you're saving time and money.
And you are, I'm sure, have a website. What is the website where our listeners can go to?
GrapevineMKTG.com. So just marketing a little shortened. But you can also check us out on 2Gs in a Pod, and we have a link there as well.
Yes, you did. And you built that, Marlena. I was like, oh my God, now mine looks like...
I'm not a web designer. I rely on the staff for that, but I got to have a little fun on your site, which was great.
Awesome, which is now your site.
Our site.
Our site. It's everybody's site, and we are thrilled to have you. I've been so excited to have you come on board.
Same.
Marlena. We kept saying Marlena, but you have Marlena. So welcome to 2Gs in a Pod, morning radio, the On the Grapevine.
Well, I feel so honored to be here. I remember in college I got to do the weather reports when I was a guest. So currently in Nashua, it's 20 degrees. So don't leave the house without some mittens. But I couldn't be more excited to have 21-year-old business owner Chelsea Erickson here. And it's just such a blast that she's here to join us for the first show. We're both 20, but I'm not that young.
20-something.
20-something.
You're millennials.
Exactly.
My daughter is sitting. I have to tell the listening audience why Annie is sitting, if you can see her on the cam, which I don't think you can.
Wave.
If you can see me, my hand.
Annie had to come with me today to be my crutch because my face ended up on the ice last week. And I sprained my ankle, which is not fun. So I said to Annie, I need help. I need help with this.
I think we just wanted more 20-somethings.
That's right.
Audience today.
Now I feel, well, I have George. Thank God I have George here. I'm outnumbered by you 20-somethings. But it's thrilling to me to have Chelsea, to have Marlena, to have Annie. There's such electricity with you young people, and you do so much that we don't even know the first thing about. So why don't we introduce Chelsea before these gorgeous... Can you see the cam? George, the cam is on our WSMN radio. If they go to the WSMNradio.com...
They just have to click live cam.
Click live cam?
But be prepared to get hungry. You're going to want to rush over.
I mean, this doesn't even look like... This is like incredible. I had to ask Chelsea, is that real? Can I eat that? They're so beautiful.
So what you could do is also drive right now to 968 Elm Street, where Finesse Pastries headquarters is. And when you walk in... Manchester, New Hampshire. The Elm Street, Finesse Pastries, 968 Elm Street, Manchester. So you can head over there right now and have your morning cup of coffee and pastry with us.
Well, George is already... How was it, George? Did you eat it?
Fantastic.
He had a chocolate croissant.
Oh my God, so painful. This is... it's like I want to touch. Annie was taking... She's got the camera today and took tons of photos of it. Introduce Chelsea.
Welcome, Chelsea. How are you this morning?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. I feel like you're ready to eat lunch, though.
I am. I've been up since 3, so I'm ready for a cheeseburger, like right now.
Were you up baking at 3 o'clock?
Yes. Yep. I got up this
outta
morning,
here.
rolled out of bed, and then started making pastry.
And
yeah.
she looks amazing for someone who gets up that early. Every time I see her, I'm like, you're so polished and professional. I don't know many
inside, I'm a
20-year-olds that just like wake up, especially that early, every
Yeah.
morning.
You do that
Yes.
every...
Yes. Yep.
Even on Sundays, they do get up early when they're closed, but not that early.
Yeah, we get to
But-
sleep till like 7.
Oh
so
my
that's
God,
like
that's
half your
sleeping
day is
in.
wasted. Yeah.
Good for you. Wow.
I think
Welcome.
that's just incredible that you guys are able to do that. So tell us a little bit about, I just think you have such an incredible story about how you got started and how you had this dream and then you ultimately picked out the space or the name before you even locked it in. So tell us a little bit about that.
I was actually a really chubby kid. I love chocolate. I love food. My family loves food. We're all foodies. So, when I was in high school, I always kind of wanted to do that. Growing up, I was like the baker in the family. My mom can cook. My dad can do both, but I was definitely like the sweets person, the go-to. And when I was in high school, I actually, knew that I wanted to do this. So when I was either a sophomore or junior, I actually registered the name Finesse Pastries, even, not even knowing if I was going to do it or not. But then, when my family would talk about it, I'd make something and they'd joke and be like, oh, well, when this is at Finesse Pastries, so then the name just stuck. It couldn't be called anything else. So, then I graduated. I really wasn't into like a 4-year school. There was culinary schools that were 4 years, and I applied, got in, but it just didn't feel right. So then I saw the Cambridge Culinary School in Cambridge, Mass, and I went down there and watched for part of a class one night, and then met Delphon, who's my mentor and chef, and we just talked for a little while and then clicked, and I was like, this feels right. So I did that, and that was it was only a year-long program, and it was strictly French pastry, so you learn the ins and outs of it. And then after that, I started Finesse with my family. We actually, one night, were walking down Elm Street. We had gotten dinner and saw 968, and they were putting up the For Lee sign, and we called on it, and then maybe 2 weeks later, we signed and we renovated the whole things ourselves. My parents were like, plan your dream kitchen, which we did, and then we worked everything around it. We pulled up the floor, we put down all that. We did 5 coats of stain on the walls. We actually, like, my grandma helped me sew the cushions too, and we painted all the tables. It was definitely, we did everything from start to finish, whole family.
That is amazing. That is totally.
You don't
amazing.
hear stories like that.
I am like thrilled about this whole story. I mean, this is an American dream. It is a dream come true. You're living the dream.
Maybe there'll be a movie. I don't know.
But why did you decide on Finesse in sophomore year of high school?
Yeah, the name Finesse, kind of everything that I like to bake and like to do, I like to put a little bit something extra in it, not just like everybody else is. And so I was kind of just kicking around names, and then I looked up Finesse, and the whole definition kind of fit perfectly with what I wanted to do. And then Finesse.
I love it.
She's
so classy. Like, all of her pastries just have class, and she does. And it's just, I love the aspect of your family. That's a big part of my life. And I know that you mentioned about your dad helping before he goes to work, and your mom leaving her job to come help you. And every time I go in there, it's just like great energy. There's a lot of 20-something millennials working there, and I know there's been a lot of people are always like whispering, like, "Is that Chelsea? Is that Chelsea?" Because they're all like great girls that just have such awesome attitudes when you like walk through the door, and they're very welcoming. Because it is a really big space. Because typically, the coffee shops here in the area in New Hampshire, they tend to be like little like nooks and crannies, like, and this spot is just like so. It's like bringing the outdoors in. Like you mentioned how your grandmother made the seat cushions. Like when you're sitting inside, you really feel like you're outside. And I guess tell us a little bit about what it's like in France and how the bakeries are set up there.
Yeah, and absolutely that was the feel that we wanted to go for, very authentic. And when I was in France, most of the time you just sit with your coffee and you just sit outside and you people watch and everyone's just outside all the time. So we wanted to bring the outside in because some people don't like sitting outside, and in the weather like this,
How
you
thoughtful.
don't want to sit outside.
Especially in New England.
But you have huge glass windows.
Yes.
And, I mean, that's fantastic. What do you even have next door?
Oh, next door, yeah, we have a cigar shop, so that's very Parisian.
Okay.
Yeah, the smoke always. But yeah, and then we have awnings on the inside, which my grandma helped me sew. And yeah, we have the little bistro tables. We have like little lanterns, so it looks like you're outside.
Yeah, lanterns, little like fences coming in. So it's just like this beautiful, and I kind of saw it evolve. Like, when it first opened, of course, like there was lines out the door. Everyone was like so curious. I think they were saying you were 23, but that was not the case. You weren't even 20 yet.
Nope.
So everyone was just so excited. And I know that you were like selling off the shelves, and now it's like this gorgeous space where people can have meetings. There's Wi-Fi there. The lunches, you have to go out on, I'm sure people are posting this on their Facebook and their Instagram and Pinterest, but there's a little box with a sandwich in it that you get in a clear with, and it's just packaged. Everything that she does is packaged so neatly, and it's just like a brand in itself. And I feel like that's why we wanted to have her on the show, is like she didn't just open a coffee shop or a bakery. There's a whole brand that you were thinking about, just the definition in the name, and you really carry that throughout your space and the people that you employ there and all of your pastries.
I have a question for you, Chelsea, because being so young, which to me it is phenomenal what you've done. However, tell our listeners, you're young, and all of this finesse, both the pastry shop and to have finesse, you have to have a financial backing.
Yes.
Did you have one?
Yeah, actually, growing up, my parents were super into investing. So for our birthday, we would actually get like stock. So we get like stock wrapped in a little picture frame. So I use that, and then my parents also helped me. So it's family all the way through.
So will you? I know with some people a loan is made to their children. Will you pay your parents back?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's the plan.
That's capitalism at its best.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't feel like it was mine until I did.
Are you at that point now where you're able to?
Very close, yes. Mm-hmm.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, so they're excited too.
What year did you opened last year?
No, 2012, June 2012.
Wow.
So it'll be 2 years and a couple months. Yeah.
And you're almost to the point that you can start paying your parents back.
Yep.
Wow.
That's so exciting.
Says something.
Yeah.
That says a lot. So for the listeners out here, the younger generation listening to this, it's living a dream, but that dream comes at a price, number one,
absolutely.
and hard work.
I mean, she has a 20-foot pastry case to fill each and every day. So just that in itself, I mean, tell us a little bit about it, because just the croissants that we love there, the one that someone ate before we could take a photo of, there's huge and chocolate. But tell us a little bit about your process, because everything that you do has such a specific process.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't know that about French pastries, that everything is super, super time consuming. So I remember like the first week when we opened, we were just trying to catch up. We were doing 22-hour days, and like I remember sleeping in a sleeping bag in the back hallway, and then my buzzer would go off. I would have like an hour while my croissants were proofing just to like take a quick nap, and then you'd be back up. But yeah, we have a lot of pastry to pull out every morning. We have croissants, turnovers, Danish, muffins. So those have to go out first. And then after that, that's the dry side. And we have all of our cookies, everything like that. Then we have to move over to the case, where we have at least 15 different types of these little cakes that we have to decorate. And then we have Philly Clairs, cream puffs, fruit tarts, Napoleons, the macaroons, everything like that. So that actually takes like 5 or 6 hours of our day with 4 people working on it. And then our second half is when we can do, some of our production to get caught up.
So that's another key area, part of the business, is you've hired people.
Yes.
You've actually put 21 years old, and she's got people working.
Mm-hmm.
And she really empowers them into action, though, too, because they all have very specific tasks every morning, which I thought was really exciting because I know I love checklists, and that's something that we really help our clients out with. But you have, like, kind of checklists posted, so every day they walk in and they know what they have to do. So tell us a little bit about how you manage people, maybe how you hired them or how you came across them.
Actually, it's kind of a funny story. At the beginning, we kind of weren't expecting it to be as busy as it was our opening weekend. So we made enough food that we thought would last us, to get us going, and it sold out in our first day. So I panicked, and I called Delphon, the chef that I studied under, and I was freaking out, and I was crying, and he was like, I don't even know what you're saying right now, and I have no clue. So he actually sent a bunch of students up, and they helped me for a couple days because they had also taken the program. So they, I could kind of put them on their own a little bit while watching, and they, knew all the techniques also. And so, they helped me for those couple of days, and then a couple of them stayed on. And then one of my best ones, she's still there now, and it's been 2 years. And then other than that, my parents do a lot of it, and they actually didn't know how to bake before, at least the French pastry. And so, at the beginning, I taught them everything, and it's easier to yell at your parents than it is someone else, and they can't quit.
The boss.
Yeah.
That's quite a twist around it, You're the boss, telling them what to do.
That's what my mom says. She's like, you're the boss here, but when we get home, you're grounded. I'm like, you can't do that, Mom.
Oh, gosh.
But yeah, we have a great team. Everybody kind of has their specialties. We did everything at the beginning, but my focus is mostly the croissants and the macaroons, and we all kind of do the cakes together, and then some of the girls do, the choux, the pâte à choux, the eclairs, the cream puffs, the breads. It all is kind of separate. So
tell us a little bit about the macaroons, because I know that's kind of some of your inspiration. You have beautiful, bold colors, and that's not always what you see. But I know every time I go in there, there is so many flavors to choose from. I just always want one of each.
Yeah, the macaroons are actually, you can pronounce it macaron, is the French pronunciation. But they're actually the reason that I got into French pastry, because I'm obsessed with them. And also they're like the hardest thing in French pastry to make, because there's so many ways that they can mess up, because you have to bake them perfectly so that they get little feet, which is like the little spongy looking part underneath. And if you over whip your egg whites, they'll break and they'll crack and you can't use them. If you bake them at the wrong temperature, they'll break, they'll crack, and you can't use them. So I remember when I was in school, I spent like a month straight, like every day, just making macaroons, and that was like when I was at home. So they were like baking pans like on the couch and like on the kitchen table above the fridge. And then I kind of, just one day it clicked and I mastered them. I like to think they're my favorite thing to do.
They always look incredible. I've never seen a crack in them.
Yeah. And what's actually interesting about them is there's actually no flavor in the shell. It's just the color. All the flavors in the ganache in the center, but you do the color to kind of match it. And, the brighter the color, you're going to think it's more raspberry or more pistachio. So it's
That's
pretty
interesting. I don't know if I would have known that from eating all of the ones I've had.
Annie is showing, that is the macaron.
She's our hand model.
Yeah.
The macaron. That is the, oh my God. Now, what is in the center of that, Chelsea?
That's ganache. Yep, it's a flavored ganache. We use like a concentrated raspberry puree, and the shell is actually almond flour and egg whites. So it's a meringue. And so the outside is like a little crust, and then it's like air in the middle, and then soft and gooey on the inside.
Okay, why we have Annie. Annie is our display person. Let's go to this is gorgeous. Hold that one up, Annie. Let Chelsea explain what. Look at that.
So can you explain what this
Yes.
polka dot strawberry?
This one is called the Favorite, so it's the favorite because it's my favorite. And it's kind of like a French strawberry shortcake. And on the outside, the polka dots, that's actually cake. And what you do is you take you make this stuff called pâte décor, and you can spread it on, on a sheet pan. You can make any pattern you want. You can squiggle with your fingers, but I have the little polka dot mold. So I dyed it pink. And then you bake the cake over it, and you bake it at a really high heat so that it's flexible, so that you can wrap it around. And we use like little individual rings. So that cake's on the outside. And then there's a white gemois, which is just like a sponge cake that's soaked in a strawberry syrup. And then there's strawberry mousse and strawberries, and then edible gold on top.
How do you get the polka dots?
That's the pâte de cour. So you spread that, and then you put it, in the freezer to harden. You spread the cake, and then after you bake it, when you peel the cake off, it just sticks to it.
That is amazing.
I can't even imagine what your wedding cakes will look like.
I know, yeah.
Do you do wedding cakes?
We haven't gotten into it yet, but we actually are just starting. We have done a few wedding cakes before, but not the traditional. We have done the opera is a classic French cake, and we did it in a big sheet pan, and I made blown sugar swans on it, and it was very beautiful.
Because I'm seeing on Pinterest and stuff, the traditional wedding cake, as we all know it, is no longer.
Mm-hmm.
It's now cupcakes. It's now these beautiful toppers. That I could see as part of a wedding cake. Annie, oh my God. Oh. Is that a macaroon on top?
That would be like your American macaroon, like the coconut on that.
So that we can call a macaroon.
Yeah, exactly. That's acceptable, yes. This is more of our simpler things. It's a coconut triangle. So it's a sablé dough, which is like kind of like a shortbread cookie. And then there's the macaroon coconut on top, and then we dip the edges in chocolate.
Beautiful.
People go crazy for it. It's
yes.
really good.
That's a staple item. That you have.
Yes, one of my grandma's favorites.
Okay, now this is going to be Annie's favorite.
That chocolate one?
Yes. Hold up the chocolate. Oh my! This is amazing. What is in the center of that?
This is it's a chocolate and salted caramel cake. So the cake is chocolate and hazelnut. It's soaked in caramel syrup, and we actually make our own caramel. So like you cook sugar to 300 degrees. And then there's a salted caramel mousse. There's nougatine, so it's like a crunchy caramelized hazelnut kind of on the inside. And then there's chocolate on the outside and caramelized hazelnut on top.
Oh, you have to, for our listeners, let's repeat it, Marlena. It's WSMNradio.com /listen-live-2 for the live stream. But you have to go WSMNradio.com and hit it's the tab that says
Live webcam.
Live webcam. Click into that. You have to go to the live web. This is just amazing things here. I see these used to be my favorite. The
fruit tart.
Fruit
Yep.
tart.
Mm-hmm. Yep, with the fresh fruit on it. For our cream for the center, we use, it's actually a mousseline. So pastry cream is pretty thick and it's custardy. So we lighten it with whipped cream so it has a better mouthfeel. It's creamier. So that's what we use.
How
and
do
then
you
the
get
fresh
the
fruit.
shine?
That's actually apricot glaze. So what they do is they take like apricot jam and you boil it down with water and you thin it out. And that keeps it nice and shiny and helps them stay fresh longer.
Oh, my God. This is,
There's so many. They're all
I'd
mouth-watering,
be afraid to eat
too.
them. They're so beautiful. They
I
are so
know.
beautiful. Let's go to the big strawberry over there. Is that a cheese?
Yes, that's our classic cheesecake. So we have
Oh.
some stuff that is also a little more American for those who
But it
don't really know
doesn't
about the
look
country.
American.
Yeah, it's a fancier cheesecake.
Oh, that is absolutely. Oh.
And we actually do a bunch of flavors of these. We just did a Neapolitan one, so it's like layers of chocolate, the classic, and then strawberry. We do strawberry, raspberry, chocolate. We kind of rotate them throughout the season. So, yeah.
And I
It's
see
a very popular one.
all of this is fresh fruits. Where
Yes.
and when it's out of season, where do you get your fresh fruits for
Yeah,
toppings?
yeah. We actually go to the Fruit Center in Manchester. They have the best fruit, so we go there.
And
Good to
last but no, there's two more. Let's see the yellow. Oh, with
Yes.
the blackberry on top.
This is the citron. It's very lemony. It's like the punch in the face lemon, not the sweet lemon. It's how lemon should be.
Like the zest.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, and it has lemon buttercream around the outside, a cake soaked in lemon syrup, and then lemon mousse on the inside. And then we have a little black and white chocolate and a blackberry on top. So it's very lemony.
And last but not least, your more traditional.
Yes. Yep, the coffee eclair. This is our most popular. People go crazy for this. You kind of don't really see a lot of coffee eclairs around. They mostly just kind of do the classic, but in France, the coffee ones are huge. And we use a Trebly coffee extract, so it comes from France. And we also have classic and chocolate of these two.
So the inside, the eclair inside, is coffee flavor?
Yes, yep.
Oh.
So it's the mousseline, like the fruit tart, just flavored with coffee.
And you can get a
Okay.
classic one when you order
long
one of the
Yes, the box
sandwiches,
lunches,
the box
yes.
lunches, which are at such a great price. And it's, again, it's so fun to carry downtown. It's like a little marketing piece as you walk. Like usually people have their shopping bags, but you actually have this like
Little
fun
brown
box
box.
that you can hold with this beautiful gold label. And inside there's just so much deliciousness. So you have to stop by on your lunch break because that's just a fabulous place to grab lunch or even get it at breakfast time and bring it with you for lunch. So
When do you start serving?
Yep, we as soon as our breads are ready. So by the time we open, we can do sandwiches, and we actually do soups too, and we make all those ourselves. We have paninis, and those start a little later in the day, but yeah.
Now it's all a French, everything is French.
Yes, yep. Like we have split pea soup this morning, which is super French. So.
Do you
oh, and you have one of your coffee cakes. There's a guy in town that says they're the best in
Yes,
town. And
yes,
he's
Dave.
been building that brand
Yeah.
for you, Dave. I met him the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess there's a little sign that says "Just ask Dave," and he's like, everyone keeps asking me.
We get so many people come in and say, "Oh, Dave told us about
Dave,
the
the
coffee
coffee
cake."
cake.
Exactly. And we hold one aside for him every day.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you serve your coffee the new French roast way and the French pressed? Is that what it's called?
for like the espresso?
There's espresso and there's coffee, and it's from Italy. The beans.
Yes,
that you
it's
use.
Lavazza. Yes, yep. So we do the espresso, we do all the espresso products, the cappuccinos, cafe au lait, all the coffee. Yes, yep. And we have a dark roast too. That's really good. That I'm obsessed
I
with.
cannot wait till the show gets over because I am going to go with my bum foot down to Finesse Pastries, and you're on Elm Street.
Yes.
What is your address?
Yep, 968 Elm Street. It's right in the middle.
968
Of
Elm Street.
Manchester.
Of Manchester, New Hampshire. With that, we're going to take a quick little break, and I want to come back. Marlena, we'll talk more to Chelsea about the wonderful pastry shop that she has. What?
Can't take it.
Oh, George, that's okay. That's see, we okay, George.
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of your community outreach that you've done. It looks like you've had students from the Franco-American Center.
Yes.
So can you
yep.
tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, they actually took a field trip to see us. This is actually, they've done it 2 years, all that we've been there. And the first year we made turnovers, and we had the dough ready, and they helped us roll it out, and then everyone got to pick their filling, and they got to actually make the turnovers, bake them, and then glaze them, and then take them home. And then this year we did fruit tarts, so we had all the shells ready, and they got to pipe the cream in, and they got to put the berries on it, and glaze the top too. So.
And it must be great for
Amazing.
you because there is a very large Franco-American community
Absolutely.
in Manchester, especially. Most everybody comes from Quebec, or, from the Canadian side of it. So this must be an absolute pleasure to be able
Absolutely.
to come to something because you're the only one that I know of.
And I think that's why the press is picking it up too, because of your age, I think, and the brand that you've built, the way that it's family owned. I think people go crazy over supporting family owned businesses
Yeah.
and young entrepreneurs. And I think there's a lot of resources out there. So I'd love to hear some of the ones that you've used. But some of the things that you've been in the news for is the New Hampshire Magazine, the Business New Hampshire Magazine, Advantage Magazine, and the Sidewalk Restaurant Blog, the Hippo Press. You've won Best Desserts and Best Bakery. I mean, you've started winning awards since you've been in school. You were a valedictorian, so that says a lot right there. But I'm sure there's so many awards that you'll be winning in the future, and I know that we'll be highlighting you on our blog as well as Stay Work Play, just because you're just such an inspiration to all these young entrepreneurs that are looking to take that step and that risk. And I know that you've had a lot of family support, but is there any other additional resources that you've used? Or I know that you have a great mentor too.
Yeah, absolutely. Delphon actually came up at the beginning at my grand opening, and he used to have his own shops and then went to close down the retail, went to wholesale, and then now he just teaches. So he came up, and I think it was like a flashback to his place, because now he actually comes up every week and we collaborate. And the favorite set, actually the strawberry cake, he was like, I came up with that on my own, and he was upset. He came in and was like, why didn't you tell me we were working on a new cake? He's like, you did this without me? And so,
oh my God.
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
You usually can't understand what he's saying, but yeah. So we use him all the time. He's great. We come up with new ideas together all the time, and especially what's trending in France. So we use that a lot. We do a lot with the social media. We post a lot of pictures on Instagram. We have a Twitter, the Facebook. We post pictures all the time.
How can people follow you,
Yep,
Chelsea?
on Instagram and Twitter, it's just Finesse Pastries.
Terrific. God.
And yeah, I mean, Facebook, you have great, you're doing everything right, because you're sharing fun articles in the news about being a foodie and different French items. And then you always have gorgeous photos of what you're working on. And I think that just makes everyone's mouth water and want to come down. And I think they're just so impressed with the finesse that you have and just the attention to detail, which a lot of people our age, I think, lack in the work environment, which has been something trending in the news that employees wish that people had more of. So I know, tell us a little bit about why you don't just do like the Betty Crocker or some other, I know that you picked French for a reason, French pastries.
Yeah, French is definitely the most difficult in pastry, and Delphon is actually a huge reason why I put extra finesse into everything, and French pastry isn't, you can't just kind of make it just like a cookie and slap it on. And also, he would kill me if I didn't make it beautiful. And he always tells us that a baker is a failed pastry chef. So if you make something and it's ugly, he'll be like, that looks like a baker made it, and he'll make you redo it. So
So I used to be in the catering business, and chefs, you could tell a chef, pastry chef, even a executive chef, whatever, you could tell how experienced they were and how much schooling they had by their stripe on their hat.
yes.
Have you earned it yet?
I don't feel like I have. I have the tall hat, and sometimes I wear it more just for show. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Everyone asks me that. They're like, why don't you feel like you've earned it yet? And I'm not sure, but maybe someday I'll just feel like I have.
Does your mentor feel you've earned it?
Yes, he says that.
Good.
But
See, then there
yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
I think with all the awards and the press and just the faces that I see of people just like indulging into, I mean, because it's just such an experience when you go in there. I mean, typically coffee shops have like, music, and I mean, I keep saying coffee shops because there isn't a lot of like bakeries that have a place for you to like sit and enjoy. But I feel like you're able to really like indulge and like enjoy every bite of your meal or pastry, because like there's French music on, there's awnings, there's like great lighting. It's like the whole ambiance and like the staff of everyone being so friendly, and like you actually coming out from the kitchen, even though I know everything's timed so well. But I think that's like what really helps with like the whole experience.
So you have completely branded your brand from soup to nuts from the very beginning, which is I still am trying to brand my business as a photographer. I mean, it is amazing, right, Annie? I mean, even doing this for, as you should, Marlena, doing it for a client. Branding is very difficult. It's a very difficult thing, and to have a brand in sophomore year of high school amazes me. It amazes me. This is just. What is your demographic so far that you're seeing coming into the shop? Is it 50-something? Is it 20-something?
Yeah, we actually have a really good range. We get a lot of the older people who typically know a little bit more about pastry, who are a little more educated. So we definitely get that group. Manchester has a lot of, the financial stuff, the businessmen. We get a lot of them who come in for their coffee every morning, and we know our regulars, and then who come again for the for lunch or for something sweet after lunch. But then we also have, a lot of the art students who come in from the New Hampshire Art Institute, and they come in and they get pastry, and a lot of, our girls who work there are from there, so they promote us too. So we have a really great range.
Which is good, because sometimes if you just you're geared to one direction, you kind of get stuck there. But you seem to you're well-rounded in the community. I'm like, this is awesome to me. This is totally awesome. You young people, you're an inspiration to your 20-somethings. I mean, not too many 20-somethings, right, Annie? I mean, just getting through college has been
I think you've just taken such a risk, but you've done it with everything is a calculated risk, I feel like, from talking to you. But I think having all that research and the ideas of what you loved being in France and bringing it here, I don't think you've kind of swayed from what you stand for as a business or as a person. Like, everything has been very consistent, and I think that is a really important aspect of a brand, and that's how you build relationships with your clients, so that every time they come for a coffee eclair, it's just as beautiful and just as tasty every time.
And I think, being your age, it must be a shock factor to some people. They come in and they say, I'd like to speak to the owner. You come out. It must be, do you have the manager here?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you get that?
Yes, yeah. I remember when I opened, I didn't want people to know of my age because I was worried that they wouldn't take me seriously. And then eventually it kind of slipped out a little bit, and then people were coming just to see me, and just to be like, oh, did she really make this? And I've had plenty of people who, I remember there were some customers in line once, and I was helping out front, and one woman was like, oh, there's no way that this, young girl could have made all this food. And one of our regulars was behind her, and he's like, oh, I know she makes all this food. And I was right there, and I didn't say anything, but it was really great. So yeah, a lot of people don't believe it, but
of course they don't.
I do.
You're 21. It's like you're just starting. I mean, most kids haven't yet graduated college or haven't found what they want to do. You know what you want to do. You're doing it. You're doing it, and you're against the fear factor, because that's the biggest thing that holds most everybody back.
And I think also having those future goals, like you said, earning those stripes, and you'll know when it's right, even though everyone around you is like, of course you already earned those. But knowing that you want to do the wedding cakes and, in the marketing world, possibly build a blog online to give people great insight. And I think just to kind of go behind the scenes, people are always curious. Even if you were to start doing kitchen tours or classes or date nights, and I mean, I can't imagine you adding anything else to your plate. They would need to find a million of you because of how early you start and how hard you work while you're there. You're definitely not a manager, you're a leader, and I see how you interact with everyone, and it's just incredible. Like I said, her maturity and her determination to get things done, and your organization of how you do everything is amazing.
It's taken me.
We're floored.
Yeah, but it's a good floored. You're an inspiration to, I hope, the listening audience who is listening and watching you on our live cam, WSMNradio.com. Go to the live cam to see. This is Chelsea. She's young. She's exuberant. She's, vivacious. You have it, the whole package, and the ribbon on top. It really, it's a wonderful thing. And I wish you the best in the future. I mean, think about it. Most kids, Annie is like, okay, where am I going to now? After you have your future to develop. You've got your future. You've got your future, and you've made such a path. It's wonderful because, Marlena, you had mentioned it in the beginning of the show, how 20-somethings get a bad rap because they think that they're entitled. The older generation, my generation, thinks you guys are lazy. Right, Annie? We're back on the getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And you Like the old Dunkin' Donuts commercial, got to make the donuts.
Exactly.
And that's what you do.
Yeah, yep. It's been almost 2 years, and I'm still not a morning person, and I'm still not used to it. I still have a hard time going to bed at like 8 o'clock before my grandma does.
That's so cute.
Hey, watch that.
How long does it take for you to make? How long does it take for you to make like that
Any of
strawberry
this?
cake?
Yeah. So the cakes usually take about like 6 hours from start to finish, and we usually make like 100 at a time. So we can do it faster if we have all the girls work on the same one, and she makes the cake, I'll make the mousse, get the rings ready.
Like a little assembly line.
Yeah, and then you can get it done in about 3 hours. The croissants take 3 days to make. And so the first day you make the dough and you punch it down and you just let it develop flavor. And then the second day is it's called laminating, where you envelop the butter so that you get layers of like dough butter, dough butter, dough butter. And so we actually have a sheeter for that so that you don't have to roll it by hand, because when we do that many, it would take forever. And actually I remember like day 3, our sheeter, like one of the cables in it came unplugged. And so I had to roll them out by hand. And I remember like crying, like, really gross
tunnel.
crying. Yeah. And I was like trying to roll them out, and I had like an hour left, and it was so hard. And if you make it in a sheeter, you use bread flour so that it's a little tougher, but then it's also tougher when you have to roll it by hand. So like my hands were like blistered, and everyone would take turns trying to roll them. But then, and then the third day, you let it rest again, develop more flavor, and the third day you can roll it out and shape them.
Wow. And that's another question, especially going to Bentley, the accounting portion of it. You have to know what per cost each one
Absolutely.
comes to.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes your labor,
Yep,
that
how much
includes
time,
the
yep.
ingredients, the time, exactly. And are you the one that does this?
I help with it, but it's my mom. Yeah.
Say, good
yeah,
old
it's
mom.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know if you can fit another hour in the day for that right now, but I always say, do what you're best at. Entrepreneurs started a business for a reason, but they also could tend to fail for reasons to try to do everything on their own. And sometimes you have to know when to hire. And it's great that you've reached out for support, like just starting on your opening day, being like, okay, maybe I can't do this, which is an exciting thought because you were just so busy. So being able to say, I'm just going to stick to what I know and what I love and what I'm going to continue to grow with. So I commend you for that
because you can't. You cannot do it. You can't do it all. You do what you do best, and that is
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, because you start, then you get boggled. You can't do your social media. I mean, you can't hire somebody to do it. But that's the amazing thing. You are in a position to bring on these people, to hire them 2 years later.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
What are some of your challenges currently or any insight on what things that you're excited to develop or?
Yeah, we actually are getting more into actually a few things. The blog I'm very interested in. Half of why I love French pastry and owning my business is that I get to educate people, because a lot of times they'll look at something and not know what it is or how much work goes into it, and all the components and things like that. So I would love to educate people, and I know that they're really interested when they do hear it, and they're like, I can't believe 3 hours goes into making that little macaroon, And then
This little guy.
yes, yeah, yep.
The bigger ones take longer.
Yes, yeah, yep. We do the large ones too, yeah. And we also are kind of doing a wholesale campaign with we do some corporate catering, but we're looking more into the restaurants and hotels and things like that. And then we're also, wedding cakes is kind of a whole league of its own, so we're kind of getting into that. But like I said, not the traditional, with the fondant. Especially nowadays, there are so many people who, just do it for fun at home, who can make it look gorgeous, with like Wilton classes or even just, looking up online. So I want to do things that, that the average person can't.
Yeah, I guess what differentiates your future wedding cakes is definitely the taste, and not just the look, because clearly you know how to design. Every little piece that you've brought here today has been so well designed and executed. But I know with wedding cakes, like you said, the fondant it's not, wouldn't say necessarily it's easy, but it's something that people can learn, and it's a skill that people could acquire. But something like actually getting the flavoring and soaking the cake, you're telling me about that process, which I can't even make box brownies, so that's why I never attempt to like make anything in my own when I'm bringing it over people. I'm like, I'd rather just support local businesses and tell the story to the people I'm going over, because I'm just not very good at baking. So I mean, it's hard work.
Plus, I would imagine that this is your brand. So in a wedding cake, you want to, it's your trademark.
Exactly.
So you want people to go into a wedding reception and say, oh, Finesse did the cake. I mean, because wedding cakes, you know, it's become you either specialize just in doing wedding cakes, but yours is going to have a trademark to it.
Absolutely.
Which is a goal. How far do you see yourself, Chelsea? How far have you projected your goals out to?
Well, when I have time to think about this. And the great thing, and also why we picked this location, is because when we do, hope to expand, it's very large. Our kitchen is very large, so we can kind of have that for production and kind of go out from there. So I'm hoping, definitely in the next couple of years, we'll be focusing on the wholesale and wedding cakes, and then from there, hopefully expanding. I don't know.
Do you think you'll ever want to step out and say, let somebody else do it?
Maybe someday, but I think I would just get so bored not doing it. Yeah.
Retiring at 30,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I love doing it. It's so cheesy, but it doesn't feel like work. And if I wasn't doing this, I have no clue what I would be doing.
So that's, you just said the key. It's passion. And it's passion that drives. It's passion that develops. You have to love what you do what you love. And you are, you are such an inspiration, I hope, to young people. Right, Annie? Being 22, this is an inspiration to you. Even to you, Marlena.
Absolutely.
To me, I'm like, wow, why didn't I have that energy when I was 21? Oh my God, I wasn't even thinking about working, and I say I had my whole life ahead of me. I hope the listening audience, especially on 2 G's in a Pod.
Yeah, and you'll even have you'll have a podcast that you can put up on your website. So, because you mentioned a lot about educating people, and that's exactly what we wanted to do today, was like give people insight into how much work this actually is and why it's so different, and just a little bit about the brand and the backstory of what makes this shop so special. I mean, it's just incredible. I guess that's the one word that I have to say again. You should be, Marlena, you guys are big on this stuff. Social media. You're on Pinterest?
Instagram.
Instagram,
you're not on
Facebook.
Pinterest yet?
No, not on Pinterest yet. I know.
I think when
We're
she
slacking.
develops her blog, I think it'll be the right time to do it, just because that's going to drive so much traffic to your website. But just repinning other people's pins aren't always the best way to get people back, of course. But I'm taking photos. I know that you have a professional photographer, and that's like key with food, and I'm sure you can agree with that.
And he's actually my neighbor across the street, and he owns his Studio One photography in Manchester. And actually, like, when I would go to school, I would come home and I would call him and be like, okay, I will trade you. You take a picture of my cake, you get to eat it. So it was perfect. And he's been taking them all along.
Awesome.
That's how we got started in our photography. You do a trade.
Yeah,
Here, I'll
absolutely.
take your photos. If you do,
Yep.
That's how it all started. And I'm glad you said that, because it's very important for listening audience to know. It's okay. You don't always have to buy the service. You can trade for it, and people are this is how you got your start, right? Now you've got a professional photographer, which she didn't come to us. We're SweetShot. I'm teasing.
I know.
Just teasing. But this is how it all gets started. That's how we got started. This is how you get started. Same thing, I'm sure, within marketing. Grapevine marketing. You can,
Yeah.
you know, it's a trade.
Melissa Albano Davis will definitely tell you that's how she started. And then it's like ultimately build the brand that it's so valuable that people want to buy for it. That we
correct.
actually have to like really take the time to decide if a client is a good fit. It's not ultimately like take whatever we can get to make sure ends meet. And I'm sure every company goes through that. But
So, here we are. Marlena, I'm going to let you do the closing ceremonies here because it's absolutely, you know, where can our listeners go to with Chelsea?
well, as we said, Chelsea is just a young one here, but you would never know. So what we want you to do is definitely take a look at 2Gs on a Pod so you can listen back, but also take a look at her shop because I think you'll want to stay there for a while. So bring a book, bring a laptop, or just take time for yourself because it's Finesse Pastries, 968 Elm Street, Manchester. There's a great website, Finesse Pastries, but if you go there, you might start wanting to eat everything off the page. But they're open Monday through Wednesday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and they start lunches as soon as the bread is ready. Thursday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Fridays is 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. as well, and Saturdays 8 to 9 p.m. So you have quite a lot of time to go in and out, and I mean it's just as soon as the weather starts getting nicer, I'm sure that you'll be on Elm Street shopping and giving back to the local community. And please stop in and say hi to Chelsea. This is On the Grapevine with Marlena and Glennis. We are so happy that Chelsea was able to join us. This is WSMN, and you can find us online. And we just enjoyed all of our time together with you today.
And we are so thrilled to have had you, Chelsea.
Thank you very
And
much.
Marlena, I have to clap. You did phenomenally. Your first show on the Grapevine. What did you think, listeners? You did a great job.
You
Right,
heard
George?
it first here.
You heard it first.
When Chelsea has her movie coming out, you'll know you heard it first.
Yeah, you all know you when. Thank you so much, Chelsea, for coming in.
Thank you for
and
having
bringing
me.
us these delicious.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to eat them because they're too beautiful. And we will see you next week. We have everybody else